Come on in, pull up a chair, and take a load off because today I'll be taking a first look and paging through Haunted West from Darker Hue Studios. And we'll skin our smoke wagons right after this. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm your host here at the Gaming Gang channel, Jeff McAleer. As I mentioned in the open, today I'll be taking a first look and paging through Haunted West from Darker Hue Studios. It's written by Chris Spivey with additional writing provided by Angel Adeyoya, Evan Perlman, Daniel Kwan, Alexandra Jackson, Adam Alexander, Alex Mayo, Mial Ramon Prince, Misha Bushyager, Cameron Hayes, Rose Bailey, Kenneth Height, Corey Redford, Mark Morrison, and Dennis Detwiller. Artwork is provided by Kurt Komoda, Jabari Weathers, Alex Mayo, Corey Redford, and Zora Spivey. My apologies if I have mispronounced anybody's name along the way through those credits. This 806-page hardcover, yes, you heard that correctly, 806 pages. The hardcover is available with PDF over at the Darker Hue Studios website for $84.95. If you want to just snag the PDF alone, by all means, feel free to visit Drive-Thru RPG. We are an affiliate, and you can grab the PDF for $39.95. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Haunted West. Nice. I have really been looking forward to checking this out. Do have to point out, I received the PDF a while ago. I did not look at it. Sammy is actually doing our review. We're probably going to do two reviews on this. She's going to do one. I'm going to do one. But I like to be surprised when I do a first look, when I do a page through. And to me, reading the PDF ahead of time, that's cheating. So this is kind of like an unboxing with a book, if this is your first time visiting the website. So a few things before I dive on in. Number one, Chris Spivey was kind enough to provide me with this review copy of Haunted West, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share coverage of this book with you. And these days, it's very important that you know that. Also, I'm going to say picture in picture up here. So that means I'm going to be cutting off a bit of the upper left portion of the book as we do a page through. We're not going to look at each and every page. I do want to give you a feel for what's in this book, more so than what you would get in, say, like a quick PDF preview over at Drive-Thru RPG. But this is also not a review. I just received this book. I have not cracked this open, so please do not think that this is a review. All right, let's get started. Let's take a look at the back here. I'm not going to read everything off the back of the book, but I will read some of this. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. This struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. It's a quote from Frederick Douglass in 1857. Mount up and ride into history, not the history you may have learned in school, but a fuller, more truthful one with a Weird West spin. Haunted West is about hope through struggle. It is a game that amplifies the voices of the often overlooked people of the Old West, the people who have been whitewashed by history. Venture into an alternate history that imagines a post-American Civil War world where Reconstruction flourishes for many years instead of meeting its abrupt end. And imagine a new reality with greater opportunities for all who inhabit the United States. Battle traitorous rebels as a black gadgeteer with your rifle and jetpack. Rustle cattle as a Chinese drover while keeping the dinosaurs at bay. Combat a legion of undead monsters as an indigenous gunslinger, or traverse the Oregon Trail as a Jewish homesteader while being haunted by the specters of those who perished along the way. You have the power to tell your story. You have the power to tell the American story. Step out of your door into the haunted West, but beware, it isn't for the faint of heart. And of course, that talks about what's in the book. We're going to actually take a look and see what's in the book. So let's dive on in. And if this is the first time you've checked out a page through that I've done of a role playing game product, let me point out it's kind of stream of consciousness. It's not necessarily, I'm focusing, oh, here's the mechanics. Oh, my goodness. Here's the bestiary. I just kind of, just we take a peek through and I kind of discuss what we're taking a look at. So I first encountered Chris Spivey from his Call of Cthulhu adventure, Dead Man's Stomp, which is quite a while back, and have really enjoyed his work ever since. If you are familiar with Harlem Unbound, either edition, the second edition is actually through Chaosium Inc. It is fantastic. It is amazing. I got to be honest, you don't need to be running Call of Cthulhu to get a lot of use out of that supplement. It is just an amazing look at Harlem of the late 1920s, early 1930s. So even if you were running like a bootlegging game, like a gangbusters kind of game, it is just phenomenal. All right, just taking a peek here. So we've got kind of a breakdown of the icons that we're going to run across. So I guess this is going to be kind of discussing history. Three voices. I'm assuming that we're probably looking at quotes from actual individuals, not fictional characters. Weird stuff. Mechanics for the game itself. Balladeer. It looks like this is Chris Spivey himself, kind of breaking the fourth wall, talking to you in the book. And then this is the alternate timeline information. So these are the different icons. I do understand that there is a Powered by the Apocalypse hack in this book, but I don't believe that is the core mechanics of this game. So we've got the lexicon here, breaking down the various different kind of glossary items here. Lobo into the Haunted West, the Dell comic book, the old Dell comic book, of course. So we're going to get some background. Now we're going to get into mechanics. And something about Chris Spivey's writing that I really appreciate is that, I mean, he's very well versed in any historical genre that he tackles, but he doesn't bullshit anybody. It's not whitewashed history. It's not just, the history you've learned in school books that were printed in like 1950. But then again, on the other hand, he doesn't engage in a lot of hand wringing either. He lays it out there, and there are some very uncomfortable truths about the history of the United States. A lot of people aren't aware of, or a lot of people just want to ignore. He does not allow that, but then again, he doesn't beat you over the head with it either, which we sometimes see in some RPG products these days. So I really, really appreciate the approach that Chris Spivey takes. So kind of a discussion, Dead Man's Hand. So it's going to talk about different kinds of play styles. So we have trait tests, calls and results, narrative success calls. I almost get an impression that you might use a deck of cards. So we got aces and jokers. I don't know. It's a D100. It's percentile dice, is what it's looking like. Yes, it is percentile dice, almost along the lines of basic role playing or Call of Cthulhu or RuneQuest. Although all three of those are different from each other, but they do share a lot of similar characteristics to the mechanics. So these are the mechanics of the game, essentially the game system. I don't believe that this is going to be a super crunchy game. And I think some folks might be kind of scared off by the 806 pages of this book. But I think a lot of it is going to be the alternate history setting, as well as a bestiary, maybe an adventure or two or more. So we have social and gunslinger duels. Quick draw. So this is a different style of play. So maybe I almost get an impression that, because remember I had mentioned there is a powered by the apocalypse hack in here as well. It seems like we've got various different game styles within the book. Once again, let me point out, this is the first time I've cracked this open. I have not taken a look at this. So this is all new to me outside of, the information I've shared for the Kickstarter and when this came out in PDF. So the quick draw is a more narrative approach for telling stories. I'm your Huckleberry from Tombstone, like skinning your smoke wagon, like I opened the episode with. That's from Tombstone. You gonna just stand there and bleed, or you gonna do something? It's been a while since I watched that movie. All right, the people. Got some cool artwork and some actually very cool photography in here as well. So this is going to talk about the various peoples of the American West. I lived out in Arizona for 10 years. Of course, I was born and raised in Chicago. I'm back in the Chicago area as well. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the gaming gang, and maybe you don't know me, you don't follow the live show, I spent about 5 years delivering RVs all around the country. And I used to go from Indiana all the way out to the West Coast all the time. And one thing that always struck me, because I'm a big history buff, is imagine people leaving from, say, around St. Louis, because that really was the gateway to the West, and traveling all that way, you know, what, 1,500 miles, 1,800 miles, depending on where you were headed. You might have been going to California. You may have been going to Oregon. Could have been going to Washington State. Who knows? And to do that, sometimes with just a group of people, and you're riding in basically a covered wagon, a clipper of the plains. Some people, a lot of the Mormons going out to the Great Salt Lake, walked, pushing wheelbarrows with their personal property in it. How amazing is that? These people of all stripes were just cut from a far different cloth than we are today. But they had to be. That's part of the whole thing about history, is these people laid the foundation for us. That's why a lot of people who, especially younger people, and I'm not trying to knock younger people, but there are a lot of people out there who their personal opinion is, well, if it happened before I was born, who cares? But the thing is, all those things that happened before you were born is what led to you being born. So it's kind of like, So I have sex, gender, and the Wild West. Certainly was not easy to be a woman in the frontier. That is for certain. In fact, there is in North Platte, Nebraska, is kind of a it's kind of touristy. It's almost like a trading post, is what they like to refer to those. It's called Fort Cody, and they have a section with books about the Old West, and it's a very large section of the store. And I can't tell you how many books there are about soiled doves, I guess we will say. It's like, wow. So here we've got our kind of character classes, our archetypes. We've got the academic. Looks like we've got different periods as well. So we've got the westward expansion, Civil War years, and then 1866 to 1916. So the effectively the taming of the West. Got the drover. That's pretty interesting stuff. I know. I'm sitting here talking about history, and that people are like, come on, man, talk about the game. I just don't really know much about the game. So we've got the gadgeteer. So it looks as if I think these tables here based on what period might be what you're kind of you're starting kind of like maybe starting gear, but maybe kind of give you a bit of a background as well to the character. Well, that's a pretty flashy revolver there. Let's see what else we got. We've got the holy. The hunter. Yeah, folks who are traveling out west. Jeez, it's like if things went bad, that was it. That was it. There were you didn't have cell phones. You didn't have phones at all. You didn't even have telegraphs. And we've got the law. So when things took a turn for the worse, it was usually the absolute worst. I mean, even having a toothache, having an infected tooth out west was very dangerous. People died from tooth infections all the time. The mystic. So some of these were getting a bit more fantastical kind of characters or archetypes, and some of them are kind of more real life. We've got the official. Artwork is really well done in this. The practitioner. For a second, I thought, is he missing an arm? No. I thought that was his sleeve was tied up, but it's not. It's just the angle that's written. So it looks like the practitioner is a bit of a magic user. I'm going to go out on a limb and also take a stab that this game system could easily be utilized if you are looking for a more modern take mechanically on just role playing in the Old West. There aren't a ton of role playing games that are devoted to the Old West. Of course, the first and probably best known for many people is, of course, Boot Hill from TSR. Of course, we've got Deadlands, which is also a Weird West sort of setting. But that's more focused on demons and things like that. Whereas I think this focuses more on just a lot of different things. There is no meta plot, as far as I understand, for this. So, propensities list: brawler, outlaw, know it all. And then we get kind of a breakdown of these. I'm the Chuck Wagon Wizard. Every drover knows the best time on the trail or at camp is at chow. Well, obviously, because you're not working. And you're the best grub slinger in the territory. People look forward to and applaud your campfire magic. You know how to use trail rations and foraged food efficiently. Okay. So these almost look like these are feats, depending on the archetype. Sawbones. Whether you were trained at a medical college back east, which, gotta be honest, at this point in time, that really didn't matter. Because if it's one thing if they were trained in Europe in medicine, but here in the United States, it, anybody could be a doctor. And I mean anyone. Unless, okay, let me take that back. Any white man could be a doctor, and you didn't have to have any skill whatsoever. Code of the West. The code is an unspoken oath the character has with the world. They don't vocalize it or talk about it. It's conveyed through how they carry themselves, their actions, the tone of their words, regardless of what's being said. So, print the legend. Yes, the man who killed Liberty Valance. When it comes down between the truth and legend, print the legend. Or thereabouts. It's been a while since I've seen that film, too. Magic, psychics, and the science of the weird. So we've got different fields of magic: alchemy, demonology, mediums, Pharaon, not sure what that is, cyberscopy, and weird science. I was like, what? I don't see Kelly LeBrock anywhere. How can it be weird science? Ah. Okay, so we've got once again more kind of feats, skills, I guess we'll say. Lore books, weird magical texts, and scrolls. There is a lot to this. Of course, we're going to get into weapons, surfaces, stables, and sundries. Derringers and holdout weapons. Holdout weapons worth small guns that you could easily stash somewhere on your body. Got shotguns, melee weapons, ranged weapons, like spears and bows, no doubt. Got the Gatling gun in there. Thrown dynamite, a lariat. So this section, Print the Legend, seems to be all kind of player-facing materials here as far as creating your player characters. Exoduster letters. I think this looks like this is kind of lore related. What's a balladeer? I'm taking a guess. It's the game master. The balladeer is countless things all at once. Project manager, narrator, referee, player, and possibly the most essential person at the gaming table. There you go. They are the game master. So they're known as a balladeer. So now we get into the balladeer facing info, the GM facing info. So it looks like kind of giving you a breakdown of various different settlements, frontier settlements, camps, boom towns, cosmopolitan cities. So we've got this section is the ballads. So this looks like this might be kind of like adventure creation discussion about that. Probably something about a little bit more about the setting, key players. Oh, that's pretty wild. Some pretty wild artwork there. Episodes and encounters. So giving us some example encounters, campaign plot hooks, the haunted gun. So this is a campaign skeleton to hang your adventures on. The weird and unknown. This is probably our gazetteer here. Allies and adversaries. Oh, plenty. Sample weird gallery. Okay, so this is our bestiary. Look at this. We've hit page 457 out of 806. So we still have the various that we had werewolves, zombies. Gives us kind of a breakdown. We get our stat block. And it gives us a plot hook, how you might want to use those creatures and beings. Now we get sample humanity. So sample bestiary. So now we're going to get into the lore. So we've got the Haunted West during Reconstruction. Got a map there. I'm assuming Ulysses S. Grant eventually becomes president in this timeline, taking a stab. The American myth. All right, here's where you're going to get your history lesson, your real history lesson. Sojourner Truth. Treason and the Civil War. Okay, then we get into Reconstruction. Blood-soaked West, which, from my understanding, a lot of these Western movies, there's so much violence going on. It's like, oh, come on. But life was pretty violent. And when you have the showdown in the streets, that didn't take place. And I always get a kick out of the movies. They always make it like, oh well, fastest draw. Fastest draw. He's the guy who's always gonna gun down his opponents. That was not the case. Being a fast draw didn't mean anything unless you were cool under fire and you were accurate with your weapon. So you could get outdrawn and still shoot somebody down. Right. So we got the world outside the U.S. Historical folks. Nice. Bass Reeves, who was an African American Texas Ranger. Frederick Douglass. George McJunkin. I'm not familiar with him. Geronimo. James Butler. Wild Bill Hickok. Oh, there's quite a lot of these historical figures. And each of them has like a plot hook if you wanted to use them in any of your adventures. That's nice. Stops along the trail. So this is on your way out west. There you go, St. Louis. I was talking about. Whoops, it's actually cut off. There you go, St. Louis. Yeah, I swear, I always kid around that nowadays, if they said "Go west, young man," we'd be lucky if we got past Missouri. Be like, yeah, I'm done. Yeah, and I'm talking about me too. These folk were just hardy individuals. Of course, they and us share a lot of things in common as well. But they were just used to adversity. It's just how life was. Life was not easy. That's why one of the aspects, and it's mentioned right on the back of the book, one of the core keys, I believe, to this game is struggle. Life was a struggle. Your player characters are going to be struggling against various challenges in the Haunted West. So here we've got, looks like these are more kind of encounters. Bag of nails. Let's go back. Let's see what this says. This might actually be a campaign. Spitting on sidewalks is prohibited. $100 fine. Holy cow. That's insane. Okay, so it says the Night of the Aristat is an introductory bag of nails. I guess maybe that's what they call the adventures, bags of nails. Okay, so good timeline for it. Some handouts. Aha, now we got our appendices. So we got, look at this. Bad tooth, disease descriptions, bad tooth. I was talking about that. God forbid you had an infected tooth. Kill you. Didn't get rid of it. The mythos in the Haunted West. There you go. Get a little Lovecraftian with you. I figured, seeing that this is Chris Spivey and others, but Chris Spivey is, the main author. I had a feeling we'd see some mythos involved in here. The great old ones. Colors from space. Tell you what, Chris Spivey knows his mythos too. He's not just, a history guy. His Call of Cthulhu work is just, like I said before, phenomenal. So this looks like we've got kind of a breakdown. Oh, is this I bet you this is the hack. I bet you yes, there you go. Haunted Westworld hack powered by the apocalypse. And we've got our bibliography and acknowledgments. Once again, remember, this was a very successful Kickstarter. So we've got our character sheet, got a typical town map. We've got, looks like these are some pre-gens, if you want to use those. I think that's what we're going to wrap up with. Yes, in our index. Sweet. All right. And once again, we see the reconstruction map, which we saw earlier in the book as well. So that is Haunted West from Darker Hue Studios. Swing on over to the other camera. Keep in mind, I am going to have a review of Haunted West in the future. I am sure we are going to see the review from Sammy Uhas for the Gaming Gang prior to mine, because she got the PDF to work on the review. And because I wanted to try to get a review out when this book was arriving, and then I will do my own thoughts in a video. So Sammy does written reviews and I do video reviews. So stay tuned. Once again, you can pick up Haunted West over at the Darker Hue Studios website. You get the PDF complimentary if you buy the hardcover. It's 806 pages, You can score those for $84.95. Once again, the PDF is available. And of course, the Gaming Gang is an affiliate of Drive Through RPG. So if you are going to just pick up the PDF, do us a favor, swing over to thegaminggang.com first, click on one of our banner ads for the drive through site. And that way, if you do make a purchase, we get a little portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. All right, that is it for this time out. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when I upload videos such as this first look, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you so much for swinging in to check out this preview video. And here's hoping each and every one of you out there get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. Check out the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, or find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching.